Okay, picture this. You've just arrived on the shores of the New World. You're expecting to find bustling life, homes, families, but instead, there is absolutely nothing. Just an impossible, deafening silence. I want you to imagine an entire population simply vanishing into thin air. Welcome to America's ultimate historical cold case. We're looking at the Lost Colony of Roanoke. We're talking about a whole settlement, over 100 men, women, and children just swallowed up by the wilderness.
So where did they go, right? It's a question that has literally echoed through the centuries, haunting historians and archaeologists alike. Just put yourself in the shoes of that rescue mission for a second. You step off your ship, you're totally expecting to greet a living, breathing colony, and instead, you find this impossible void. There's no welcoming party, no answers waiting for you, just empty space. You know, this isn't some modern thriller or a work of fiction. This is a very real, active historical investigation into one of the most baffling mass disappearances on human record.
Let's lay out the timeline here because it really highlights the terrifying parameters of our investigation. First up, the late 1500s. An English colony is officially established. John White, the governor, leaves the colonists behind to gather some desperately needed supplies back in England. But then we hit this massive blind spot. While he's gone, the Anglo-Spanish War breaks out, and White gets completely stranded in Europe for 3 agonizing years. By the time the skies finally clear and he makes his return, the entire colony has vanished. And keep in mind, this all happened way before modern forensics or instant communication could help us piece together a timeline. Over 100 people were just erased from the map, while the rest of the world was looking the other way.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast of this rescue mission is just wild. The rescuers sailed in absolutely expecting an established, thriving English settlement. I mean, they anticipated reunions with family and friends, but the reality they actually meant? Completely different. They walked right into a ghost town that was completely abandoned. The psychological shock of that moment, that chilling difference between the happy reunion they expected and the grim void they found, that's really the starting point of our investigation here. And here's the kicker. The settlement wasn't just empty, it was meticulously dismantled. Houses had been taken down, not destroyed. So this wasn't some sudden, chaotic flight. It was totally calculated.
When you actually analyze this as a crime scene, the sheer impossibility of it really stands out. We aren't talking about 1 or 2 individuals wandering off into the woods. This was an entire settlement. And honestly, the most baffling detail? The total lack of destruction. Normally in an investigation, when a mass disappearance like this occurs, you immediately start looking for signs of a struggle, maybe a raid, or some kind of natural disaster. You look for wreckage, weapons left behind, or tragic remains. But here, nothing. There were no bodies, no burned buildings, just a terrifying, highly organized absence. They disappeared completely, leaving absolutely no trace behind. It is literally an investigator's worst nightmare. A flawlessly clean scene.
Now, in a completely empty, silent settlement, you would be desperately searching for a clue, right? Anything at all to explain the void. Well, according to the historical record, the rescuers scoured the entire area and found the site totally abandoned, with exactly 1 cryptic word left behind. Just 1 single clue. I really want to let that sink in for a second. In the entire case file of this massive disappearance, there's exactly 1 piece of physical evidence left for us to analyze. It's just a single thread connecting the living to the vanished.
CROATOAN. That was it. The absolute smoking gun of our mystery. Deliberately carved right into a wooden fortification post, just left behind for the rescuers to find. Imagine this single word just staring back at them from the dead silence of an empty settlement. You can really imagine the desperate hope of the rescuers, right? Brushing away the dirt to read those letters, probably hoping it would provide a clear map, only to realize it was simply a breadcrumb leading them into an even darker forest.
Our source material describes this word as entirely cryptic. Now, Croatoan itself wasn't a completely unknown term. It was actually the name of a nearby island and a local indigenous tribe. But its presence here, it's deeply obscure because of what is missing. You see, before Governor White left 3 years prior, he had actually arranged a distress signal. If the colonists were ever forced to leave under duress, or if they were attacked, they were instructed to carve a Maltese cross into a tree. But there was no cross. 0 sign of distress. So this lone clue doesn't act as a comforting map or clear instruction at all. Instead, it's a chilling puzzle piece. It just raises more questions than it answers, acting as the ultimate cliffhanger for this vanished society.
Let's move on and see how this all builds, because when we piece together the eerie sequence of this discovery, the picture gets even stranger. Step 1. The rescuers return, filled with hope and carrying those much-needed supplies. Step 2. They hit the devastating realization of a completely abandoned, carefully dismantled settlement. Step 3. That isolated discovery of the word CROATOAN carved into a post, completely missing the prearranged cross of distress. This rapid progression from arrival to total emptiness to a single contextless riddle. It completely defies normal investigative logic. There's no panic, no chaos, just a quiet, orderly exit into oblivion.
So all of this evidence, or actually scratch that, the terrifying lack of evidence, brings us to the ultimate unsolved question in this explainer. What actually happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Seriously, how does an entire English settlement in the late 1500s manage to completely vanish, meticulously dismantle their homes, leave absolutely zero bodies behind, and just carve one obscure word into a post? Did they integrate with the local tribes? Did they try to sail back and perish at sea? The absolute lack of a definitive answer here completely defies logic.
And that really leaves us with this final thought for you to ponder. Will we ever actually know the truth? We've analyzed the terrifying timeline, the complete lack of physical traces or signs of struggle, and that solitary cryptic message of CROATOAN completely stripped of its distress signal. But as we close this case file today, the void remains. It's a massive enigma that has haunted history for centuries. Modern archaeologists continue to dig, hoping maybe ground-penetrating radar might uncover what 16th century eyes missed. But for now, when an entire colony leaves nothing but a ghost town and a single puzzle behind, where do you even begin to search?